Hello and welcome to Dark Internet History, a new series where I'll be covering disturbing events, old viral videos, and other phenomena from the early days of the internet, or at least from many years ago. I'm not ruling out the odd deep dive here and there, but most of the episodes in this series will be shorter videos than usual, with the aim of giving a concise summary of smaller topics. Let's investigate. If you enjoy internet mysteries and generally disturbing content, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. I also have a Patreon and a PayPal, so if you're interested in supporting the channel, feel free to check those out, links will be in the description. I'll apologise now for my croaky voice and poor audio quality in this video. I've had a cold all week and this is my first time using a new mic, so I'm still trying to figure out the right settings. I also wanted to quickly apologise for my absence over the past few weeks, but I can't thank you all enough for not forgetting about me and continuing to support me and check in throughout this time. From here I should more or less be back to the weekly uploads, so if you have any video suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, or contact me on one of the platforms listed in the description. I would have said all this in the last video, but I already finished that prior to my hiatus, so here we are. In the last video, we discussed internet privacy, and I joked that if my Google searches were ever leaked without context, one might assume I'm a pretty messed up individual. To give a hint about the nature of today's topic, it was one of those videos that required some weird searches. Luckily for people like us who are fascinated by disturbing topics, NordVPN doesn't track, collect, or share your private data, so you can feel secure while browsing, unlike on AOL in 2006. You probably already know the benefits of using a VPN. It helps you stay safe online by encrypting your data, so even if you connect to a compromised network, you have an added layer of protection. It can allow you to find the best deals on hotels, plane tickets, and other purchases where the price may vary depending on your location. It gives you more online freedom by allowing you to connect to a server in a different country, meaning no more restrictions on social media, videos, and websites that are blocked in your country. This is also very useful when you travel. So why NordVPN? Well, it's easy to use, it's one of the fastest, and it protects your connection from throttling, so your service provider can't slow you down. You can benefit from double encryption on 6 devices, and the threat protection feature blocks malware, trackers, and malicious ads, even when you're not connected to a VPN server. If you're still on the fence, NordVPN offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's risk-free, even if it's not your cup of tea. If that rhyme didn't convince you, then I don't know what will. You can get a 2-year plan plus 1 month free at an exclusive discount by heading to nordvpn.com/The Internet Investigator and entering code The Internet Investigator. That works out at roughly the price of a coffee every month. Well worth it for peace of mind and the other invaluable benefits mentioned. As usual, this video will contain vague discussions of topics that might be triggering to some. Viewer discretion is advised. You can head over to my Patreon for an uncut version of this video, which features extra disturbing details that were unsuitable for this cut. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, often referred to as the Olsen twins, were born on the 13th of June 1986, and their careers began just 6 months later when they were cast in the ABC sitcom Full House. They were 9 months old when they started filming, and due to child labour laws, they both took it in turns playing the same character for 8 years until the show ended in 1995. Throughout this time and after, they also starred in other films, TV shows and videos, including The Adventures of Mary-Kate and Ashley, a series of musical mystery videos. They were extremely popular. In fact, they were 2 of the richest and most successful child stars of all time, raking in $80,000 per episode of Full House by the end of the final series. Let's just cut to the chase. Hollywood did the Olsen twins dirty. They may have had more money than they knew what to do with, but they never had a childhood. All they ever knew was work. They had the pressure of basically carrying Full House, which understandably took its toll, to the point where their mother was no longer allowed on set because they'd cry every time they saw her. All the while they were going to school like every other kid, but never really getting the chance to be kids. While in interviews they said they enjoyed what they did and wouldn't take any of it back, Mary-Kate has been quoted as saying, "I look at old photos of me and I don't feel connected to them at all. I would never wish my upbringing on anyone." as well as comparing her and her sister to Little Monkey performers. As they grew older, every detail of their lives was inappropriately speculated on, from the decision to drop out of college to Mary-Kate's ED. In fact, Oprah interviewed them in 2004 when they were 18 and straight up asked her what a clothes size was. You can find clips of that interview online. Oprah is so rude to them and they laugh it off, but you can kind of tell it made them feel uncomfortable. If you want to know more about how their upbringing might have affected them, I'd recommend checking out Julia Boateng's video, How Hollywood Damaged the Olsen Twins. One of the most sickening obsessions the public had with them though was at the time known as the Olsen Twins Countdown. You might assume that older individuals who had watched them grow from babies into toddlers and eventually teenagers would be fond of them only in a parental kind of way. If so, you're putting far too much faith in the internet and humanity. In fact, numerous websites were dedicated to counting down the seconds until the twins turned 18, the age of consent in some American states, and the age that many would consider the minimum age appropriate for an adult to engage with, even in places where the legal age of consent is lower, such as the UK. One of these sites was olsentwinscountdown.com. Created in 2003 when the twins were 16, it claimed to be the original. In addition to a timer that eerily still counts down if you view it on the Wayback Machine, the site featured photos of the twins, relatively infrequent updates by the owner of the site, and links to various other sites. God knows how many people visited the site in total, but at the time the capture was taken, 436 guests and 1 member was online, and 61,862 users had voted in the poll, which Olsen twin do you like better? So it seems to have been quite a popular website at one point. Another site was much more basic and simply asked, do you wonder when Mary-Kate and Ashley will be legal, above a countdown and a note explaining the page is more accurate than it used to be, and the author only got 15 hate letters after they moved. Olsen.websterf.cc was created in March 2002 when the twins were only 15, so despite its weird flex, olsentwinscountdown.com wasn't actually the original. I came across an archive of an old thread on goodcowfilms.com titled, When Will the Olsen Twins Get Naked?, which was started when they were just 16 with a photo of them captioned, 2 more years till they turn 18. Some of the replies are sickening. I have no idea how old the commenters were as I couldn't find archives of their actual profiles, but while 1 or 2 claimed to be the same age as the twins, the majority were clearly much older. For example, one individual noted that they were hot and said, I don't remember girls looking like that when I was that young. I'm sure you can imagine the nature of most of the comments. People were objectifying them, describing what they'd do to them, speculating if they would go on to star in adult movies, and debating whether or not it should be legal for them to do so at 16 or even younger. Thankfully, a couple of users somewhat acted as the voice of reason with comments like, this is something that I will never understand and never want to understand. I really hope you guys are under 18 because this is just one sick post. Please don't go strolling around a junior high school anytime soon. When they turn 18, it doesn't mean they'll magically become everyone's overnight. Keep your pants on, junior. I mean, I would have made more of a point that it's highly inappropriate to have a countdown until minors become of age, but I guess we should take any opposition we can get on a train wreck of a post like this. The creepy countdown wasn't just confined to a few niche websites, it was referenced on the radio and by larger news outlets such as the New York Post, who wrote in an article, "Lock up the boyfriend, the Olsen twins are legal, and they're loaded." E-Online were even more blunt with the headline, "Mary-Kate and Ashley, jailbait no more." The author had this to say, "The countdown clock fad began when the twins hit their mid-teens and transformed from tween phenoms to legitimately hot celebrity babes." E-Online spoke to Chase Brown, an adult website entrepreneur, who said, "I think I read on a BBS or heard from someone how the Olsen twins were going to be legal in a few years and what would happen then. Would they be in Playboy, do etc. So I figured why not count down the exact day until they're legal? That way everyone can speculate what will happen when the day comes. When they turn 18, I will do the dance of crap because there goes a lot of good traffic." E-Online had previously asked the twins if it was flattering or just creepy that guys of all ages knew their 18th birthday was on the 13th of June, to which they responded with, I don't know if we think it's nice, it comes with the territory of just being a girl, I guess. We present ourselves the way we feel comfortable. It's just kind of everyone else making that up about us or wanting to perceive us that way. When asked about the websites in another interview, Ashley said, "Boys will be boys, right?" And Mary-Kate said, "Yeah, pests." Shortly before their birthday, Mary-Kate apparently shouted at the end of a Saturday Night Live show they appeared on, "Remember, we're legal in 4 weeks." Which alongside their other nonchalant responses has been used to minimise the situation and suggest that they took it lightly. But how the hell were they supposed to react to this? Girls in general, and boys too I'm sure in different ways, are often brought up to not be confrontational when it comes to this kind of harassment and inappropriate behaviour. They're told to accept it and even take it as a compliment. Imagine how much worse that would be for 2 girls who grew up in the limelight with millions of people watching their every move, knowing that if they put a foot wrong, they'll be demonised for it. All that said, I wouldn't be surprised if Mary-Kate didn't willingly make that comment off her own back, but instead was told to say it by someone who knew it would attract publicity. Going off other things they said at different times, they likely weren't comfortable with this kind of attention. For example, Ashley told Rolling Stone that she got really angry and defensive when at 16 they were asked about their virginity by Connie Chung, and also said it was her worst nightmare and she was crying hysterically when photos of them both in bikinis on holiday surfaced in tabloids. This same Rolling Stone article mentions the twins' first on-screen kiss and states the director suspected it was Mary-Kate's first kiss of any kind. It highlights that Mary-Kate is single and proposes a fictional scenario where a pair of college-age guys, quote, "give them the up and down. God, they are hot," one breathes. "I'll take the one on the left, you take the other," says his pal. Oh, and did I mention that the front cover was a photo of them accompanied by the statement, "America's favourite fantasy." I don't want to delve too far into speculation, but I can't help but wonder how much all this inappropriate attention affected the twins as they grew into adults, especially considering that in recent times, concerns have been raised related to some of the men the twins worked alongside when they were much younger, though these rumours haven't been confirmed. The twins haven't appeared in any movies or TV shows for well over a decade, and compared to the younger years, they've become reclusive. Neither of them use social media. It appears that the last time they posted was in 2019 to wish Ashley Benson a happy birthday, and that was on Ashley's Instagram. They don't even have accounts. Apparently when they hosted a party, they made everyone hand over their phones upon entry to prevent any photos being taken, so privacy is clearly a huge concern for them. More worryingly, both women have a history of being involved with much older men. Before I give a bit more detail, I'd just like to point out that I'm not attacking all relationships with age gaps. They can work and it's not always creepy or problematic, but particularly when someone has a pattern of dating significantly older or significantly younger people, it is potentially a red flag. Mary-Kate's most recent relationship with Olivier Sarkozy began in 2012 when she was 25 and he was 43. They married in 2015 and Mary-Kate eventually filed for divorce in 2020. At 18, Ashley reportedly dated a 30-year-old while Mary-Kate dated his 26-year-old business partner. At 26, Ashley was in a relationship with a 47-year-old sometime after dating David Schulte, who I couldn't find an exact age for but was visibly many years older. Anna Psychology uploaded a fascinating video a few months ago on age gap relationships that I'd recommend checking out. It covers studies that found such relationships are more likely to be abusive in some way, and individuals in those relationships tend to be more depressed than those in relationships where both parties are the same age or have a small age gap. While different studies contradict each other, and some even find benefits of age gap relationships, I do worry that the Olsen twins' dating history might somehow be indicative of psychological damage that arose after years of inappropriate attention they weren't ready for but forced to accept. Unfortunately, Mary-Kate and Ashley aren't the only child stars to have experienced such attention, nor are they the only ones to have had countdowns created for them. In fact, it seems that this practice is as old as the internet, and even predates it if you remove the presence of an actual timer that anyone can check online. Lindsay Lohan turned 18 just a couple of weeks after the Olsen twins, and while her birthday maybe didn't attract quite so much attention, countdowns still existed on the noncy side of the internet, plus a Rolling Stone headline stating she was, quote, hot, ready and legal. Natalie Portman also had a countdown. Here's what she said about it years later. A countdown was started on my local radio show to my 18th birthday, euphemistically the date that I would be legal to sleep with. Movie reviewers talked about my in reviews. I understood very quickly, even as a 13-year-old, that if I were to express myself I would feel unsafe, and that men would feel entitled to discuss and objectify my body to my great discomfort. In 2013, TMZ posted a photo of Kendall Jenner that could be seen as provocative, captioned, "53 days until she turns 18, not that we're counting." And they weren't the only ones eagerly awaiting her birthday. At least 6 companies reportedly offered Kendall large sums of money to create content in adult entertainment, and her sister Kylie was even offered a $10 million deal shortly after her 18th. In 2018, radio host Patrick Connor was fired after saying this about Olympic snowboarder Chloe Kim, who was 17 at the time. "She's fine as hell. If she was 18, you wouldn't be ashamed to say that she's a little hot." And she is. She is adorable. I'm a huge Chloe Kim fan. Her 18th birthday is the 23rd of April, and the countdown is on, baby. British tabloid newspaper The Sun was criticised for countdowns to the 16th birthdays of Charlotte Church and Emma Watson, and websites were created for those too, such as this one that focused on Emma as the character Hermione Granger from Harry Potter, and it even photoshopped her face onto Christina Aguilera's body to see what Hermione would look like when she was 18. It was created when Emma was just 13. She spoke about an incident that occurred on her 18th birthday, quote, "I came out of my birthday party and photographers laid down on the pavement and took photographs up my skirt, which were then published on the front of the English tabloid newspapers the next morning. If they had published the photographs 24 hours earlier, they would have been illegal, but because I had just turned 18, they were legal." As a side note, taking such photos is known as upskirting, and as of 2019, it's now illegal in the UK, no matter what age the victim is. Her statement highlights the problem with such countdowns. It's the fact that those who engage in them don't actually care about the reasons behind the age of consent, namely that minors may experience psychological harm as a result of such activity, particularly with older adults. They literally only care about not getting arrested, but will go as young as they can get away with. There is no difference in someone who is 17 years and 364 days old and someone who is exactly 18, other than the law says one is old enough to consent and the other isn't. On the flip side, considering the hype often dies down after the celebrity turns 18, it makes me wonder if it's less about the coming of age being a positive thing, but rather disappointing for these people who now find the celebrity less appealing because they're legal, and there's no longer the whole forbidden fruit aspect. Bill Doty, who hosted his own Olsen countdown site, seemed to acknowledge this too. Quote, "I have had people suggest other ages, 21, drinking, 25, cheaper car insurance, 35, run for president, 55, discount at Denny's. I hate to admit it, but after they turn 18, I believe much of their fascination will fade away. Then they are just 2 legal rich twins, unless one gets caught in a videotape incident. I do not see much coverage on them anymore." I'd like to say in an era after the Me Too movement and the uncovering of various predators' disgusting activities, now we're all a little more vigilant when it comes to awareness of harassment and the protection of young people in particular, that such countdowns no longer exist. But unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case. Although you might be less likely to see such blatant objectification from popular news outlets at least. The countdowns themselves aren't really the problem though, it's that they reflect a predatory way of viewing minors and basically send a message to kids that once they reach a certain age, they're fair game and harassment is perfectly acceptable. I could go on to discuss the problems with how child stars are viewed and judged after they turn 18, whether they embrace their sexuality or remain reserved, they can't do right for doing wrong. But this was meant to be a relatively quick and concise video that turned out a lot longer than I expected, so maybe I'll come back to that another day. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments, plus any suggestions of topics you'd like me to cover in a future Dark Internet History episode. This video was in collaboration with NordVPN. Remember to head to the link in the description and enter code TheInternetInvestigator for an exclusive discount on a 2-year plan and 1 month totally free. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Huge thank you to my patrons, whose names are on screen now. I really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Thursday in a new video.